Hey y'all, welcome back to Doug's Cars. Today, I finally get to drive this lovely 1978 Mercedes R107 450 SL in the beautiful taxi cab color. No, but it works really well with the caramel interior. It's just, what a lovely car. It's got factory fresh bunts. It has the US bumpers that, you know, you can sit on like this, have a tailgate party. It's actually quite comfortable to sit on this bumper. You know, it's got the huge star on the grille and no hood ornament, and it's just a beautiful car. It's had a little bit of repaint recently and a little bit of a freshening up, so this is a great opportunity for me to drive an R107 for the first time. So let's take a quick look around the car and then we'll go for a ride. Got to start under the hood. This beautiful 4.5 liter Mercedes V8, which made about 180 horsepower in the US market. These were initially marketed here as 350 SLs, although they were 4.5. Then they finally upgraded the badging to properly show what theirs. But you can see this has been nicely refinished. And again, 180 horsepower in 1978 in the US was like, I mean, that's like what you got in a Corvette. That's a lot of power. And this thing sings, and it's had a little bit of exhaust work. So when I fire this up, you're gonna wanna be along for the ride for that. Of course, you got a nice trunk here, which has some pretty good space. You could definitely put a couple of small sets of golf clubs in there. Very light deck lid, of course. And then as we get inside, you can see this has got an aftermarket wood rim, but it does have the Mercedes logo on it. The awesome cruise control stalk, that's been a Mercedes hallmark forever. The wiper stalk that I remember from the 80s. Your headlights, of course. Oh god, that sounds awful. This one has 151,000 miles on it, 160 mile an hour speedometer, which, you know, and it's got full range of gauges. Key here, power antenna. This would be for the hardtop. It does have a Becker Europa 2 stereo, which does work. I have listened to this radio, it works well. And then you've got the Chrysler sourced climate control with the 1978. It said compressor. Later years it would say air conditioning there. I guess people didn't know what compressor meant. Got the ashtray, which was not beautifully damped like in others, and your hazard switch, power windows, of course 3-speed automatic, and your glove box over here with an updated sticker, because that 124 did not exist in 1978. Otherwise, fairly standard. You know, MB Tech's interior, which will last a million years. The Zebrano wood trim, and just a nice color in here. It really is. I always like the center vents. I realize these cars are known for all kinds of issues with their climate control system, because all of the control modules back in there and the dash fail, and they're, you know, expensive to replace. But it's a good car, and for being a fairly expensive model, you know, you still had manual mirrors, but even the expensive S-Class models of that era had that as well. Yeah, overall, really nice shape in here for a 150,000 mile convertible that's almost 44 years old. Impressive how well this has been, you know, maintained. Of course, part of it has to do with the MB Techs, which, you know, it's like a cockroach that will outlast everything. So let me go ahead and get y'all mounted up on the windshield and we'll go for a ride. All right, let's try out this position. It's windy today and I want to drive with the top down, so hopefully this will work. Of course, as always, my safety third with my seatbelt. No airbags in this car, of course, but it's a 78. Let's see if she'll fire up. Nope. Again, this is not a stock motor. Well, it's a stock motor. It's not a stock exhaust, I should say. And it sounds like the fan clutch is a little bit of whaley poo there, but nobody coming. This thing sounds choice. This is my first time driving an R107, by the way. Yes, that just sounds so good. A great ride. You know, and these were sold until 1989 in various guises, so this was a long-running car that came out in 1972 as a 73 model, I believe. And, you know, it lasted a long time. You know, they upgraded with airbags and ABS. This, of course, has none of that. And while it is a Mercedes, you probably wouldn't want to be involved in a collision in this, because who knows how strong it still is. But I'll go out here on the main drag so I can give this beast a little bit of gas, and we can really hear that exhaust, I hope. Somebody coming, here we go. Hold on. This car shouldn't make that noise, but it does. And it's fantastic and glorious. And it's perfect for this. This car doesn't need to be a show winner. It's not that kind of car. Like, this is a driver. This is something you should enjoy. And keep the top down on, and park in your garage and drive on nice days. And unless that fan clutch explodes on me, that's wailing a bit, you could probably drive this cross country. I wouldn't want to pay the fuel bill, but hey, around town, this thing's fantastic. It's about 65 degrees today. I'm not entirely certain what that is in Celsius. 15, I don't know. I don't have to know those things. And you know, this is not a sports car, despite the fact that SL is Sportleicht, sport light. It's not particularly light either. But for 1978, this thing had one of the most powerful engines you could purchase in the United States. Legitimately. Like 180 horsepower in 1978 was like the end of the world for a passenger car. And very few vehicles had anything approaching that, despite giant displacements. So they were just all choked out by catalytic converters and EGR valves and smog pumps and all those lovely things that were installed on cars back then, before they figured out how to make power while also not just being gross polluters. So now that being said, this has had some exhaust work, and it's an antique, so those things don't matter anymore. And you know, there's no giant cloud of smoke coming out behind me, thankfully. And it's opened up nicely. I don't know what the horsepower figures would be. You know, it is a 150,000 mile car, so it's probably not factory fresh inside the motor, but it is a Mercedes V8 after all. These M110s will go forever. So 4.5 liters. You know, I've got a 4.4 liter V8 in my Land Rover LR3 and a 4.6 liter V8 in my Lincoln Town Car. Neither of them sound like this, and they both have dual exhaust. I might have to do something about that. It sounds so good. Yet, at highway speed, it's not annoying and droning like some cars are. My buddy's Porsche Cayenne Turbo had an aftermarket exhaust on it that he's having taken out, because at highway speed, you can't even hear the radio. The drone is just ridiculous. But just cruise along here. There's a little bit of it. Also, obviously I have the top down. Why would you want to put the top up in one of these? If you have one of these, you get a car for a rainy day, or you already have a car for a rainy day. There's no need to subject one of these to that kind of weather anymore. Now, while they're not super prone to rusting, it is a vintage Mercedes, and even in climates like this, even in climates like this, these can rust a little bit. But this one, no issues with that. It had a small engine fire a year or two ago, but that's been all healed and repainted, the hood, and drive it nicely now. You know, a lot of these cars have issues with the blower motors catching on fire. I don't believe the blower motor works in this one, so that's probably for the best. But, you know, those old 1970s electrics and this weird purchased from Chrysler climate control system with these big buttons on them that I think was standard in, you know, every Mercedes after, every North American Mercedes after 1975, I believe, came with that. It's a wonky system. I mean, I think it had like a Delco compressor, and then the rest of it was from Chrysler, and, you know, maybe they just didn't talk to each other well. I'm sure that they were not great at actually being air conditioning, despite being an American system, and we certainly made better AC systems than the rest of the world because we needed them. But today, no need for that. This is such a nice driving car. I know now why J.R. Ewing always drove these, or was it Bobby? Maybe it was both of them in Dallas for you youngsters, back when these things were new. I think he had one like in this color, even in you know, in German taxi beige. This is great. opportunity to do this. In case you haven't seen my last video, I am actually moving to Florida this week. So I had 15 minutes in my camera and I was like, I'm gonna film that SL, grab the keys, and here we are. And I'm so glad I did this before moving, because I get to experience this on a lovely fall day. And I just never driven an R107 before. They made a coupe version of this, which actually had like a 2+2 seating area in the back. It was basically the same car with a little bit extra length behind the seats. Those are fairly rare. I mean, obviously everybody bought the convertible, and those were, you know, more expensive too. Last chance to punch the throttle. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Well, I hope the audio has been good on this. I realize it's windy because it's a convertible, but I put the camera way up in there, so hopefully it won't get too noisy with just blowing air. So, well, my test drive of this has come to an end, but let me cut that off. Sounds so good. Anyway, thanks y'all so much for watching Doug's Cars and for seeing my second Mercedes SL video. I made one a couple weeks ago about a 2000 SL 500, and that was an amazing car, but the 20-some year difference between the two, I get why these are so sought after and are starting to actually finally come up in value, because this is just an amazing car. It really is. And yeah, once again, thanks y'all so much for watching Doug's Cars. Stay tuned. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already done so, because I'm just getting started. I'm about to be on a journey to Florida where I will be experiencing all kinds of things that are new to me, and I cannot wait to bring it to y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.